Nevada Science Center. My name is Becky Hall. I'm the executive director here, and I'm with Dr. Josh Bondi. He's going to talk to you about Cretaceous in Nevada. So here at the Science Center, we're both paleontologists digging up fossils from across the state of Nevada, and then we bring them back to the Science Center where we can clean them up in our research lab and then research them a little bit more, and then we also have museum displays for some of our research projects. So I'll let Dr. Bondi share some of our fossils from the Cretaceous.
All right, Mr. Krause, are you ready to go?
Yeah, we're all ready to go, so take it away.
All right, so the Cretaceous time period is the last period of the age of dinosaurs, or the Mesozoic era. So it ranges from about 145 million years ago to 65 million years ago. And some really famous dinosaurs come from the Cretaceous. So if you think of Jurassic Park, most of the dinosaurs in the Jurassic Park movies actually come from the Cretaceous period. The Cretaceous period is longer than the entire age of mammals. So there's lots of different types of dinosaurs. They're really well known across the world. But here in Nevada, our geology is a little bit complicated. And so our story of the Cretaceous isn't as well known as places like Utah, Montana, Wyoming, where lots of rocks of Cretaceous age are really flatline and are exposed across wide areas. So here in Nevada, during the Cretaceous time period, there was a couple major mountain building events. So Western North America, California, Nevada, down into Arizona, up into Oregon and Washington, would look more like the Andes today. So big volcanic mountains, great big mountain plateaus. And so when you uplift mountains, you expose them to more air and rain and weather, and those rocks weather away. So they erode away with the seasons. And so we don't really have a lot of rocks from the Cretaceous period here in Nevada. We have a couple of slivers, and that's what me and Becky go out, and that's a big part of our careers, is going out and teasing out this Cretaceous record of the state of Nevada. So we have three sites across Nevada that are of Cretaceous age. So let's go and start with the older one. So the older one comes from near Eureka County, which is about geographically in the middle of the state of Nevada. It's a little town. There's 17 counties in the state of Nevada, and Eureka, I don't know if that even shows up where you guys are at, is that little red sliver there. So again, kind of geographically in the middle of Nevada. We're down here in the south. So from there, we have rocks that range from about 120 million years old to about 80 million years old, give or take on the type of dating you do with our radioactive minerals. So we'll just jump into it. So this and this are big pieces of a dinosaur that me and Becky are currently excavating. It's still mostly in the ground, but you can see how big these bones are. Look how big around that bone is. This would have been an animal probably at least 20 feet long. And one of the fun things is we don't know what type of dinosaur it is yet. When we look at the texture of the bone, it's definitely a dinosaur bone. It's not crocodile, it's not mammal. So when you get to be a really good paleontologist and you can tell the different textures of the bones, you can tell different types of animals. So it's definitely dinosaurian. We just don't know what type it is. We just know it's big. So we're not too far from where that bone was, where we're currently excavating. If you want to follow what we're excavating, you can go to our social media, and we have pictures of where we're digging. And we just recently took our local PBS channel out to the excavation site where these bones came from. So if you tune into Vegas PBS Steam Camp, you can come visit the site with us. This is a bone that came from nearby that. This is from an Ankylosaur. So this is one of their skin bones. And so these are the animals that had the big clubs on their tail. So the big clubs on their tail, those animals also had armor in their skin. And so this is one of their skin bones, which is also called an osteoderm. So how do we know it's a skin bone? You could, I don't know if it shows up on the screen. Can you see it?
Yeah.
There's kind of a crosshatch pattern. And so that tells us that this is definitely Ankylosaur, because that's how their bones grows in this crosshatch pattern. So this was the armor in their skin. Compared to, say, this skin bone, which is from a crocodile. So if you look at the back of a crocodile, they're all bumpy. They're all bumpy because their skin is full of bones. And Ankylosaurs have the same thing going on. So from up in Eureka County, we have armored dinosaurs. We have these great big dinosaurs, which we don't really know what they are yet. We also have raptor dinosaurs, and we have plant-eating dinosaurs like iguanodons. And we also have, me and Becky just recently, within the last year, found another new site, which is even bigger. So we think we might have a great big long neck, long-tailed sauropod dinosaur as well. And living alongside these animals were turtles. We get lots of turtle shell fossils, lots of crocodile fossils, some fish fossils, and then we also get invertebrates. So these are some pond snails that were found also alongside the dinosaur bones. Some of the fish include garfish, which are still around today, as well as freshwater sharks. Okay. So our next oldest site, we're going to travel down to southern Nevada now, to Valley of Fire State Park. So Valley of Fire State Park has rocks that are not quite as old as near Eureka, which are 120 million years old. We're going to be talking about rocks now that are about 100 million years old. So this is right at the boundary between the early Cretaceous and the late Cretaceous, the boundary right in the middle of the Cretaceous time period. So from this period of time, we have garfish again. We have lungfish, which is kind of weird because we don't have lungfish in North America anymore, but those lived here in rivers in southern Nevada. We also have crocodiles, a couple of different types, as a matter of fact. So these are crocodile teeth that have been found here in southern Nevada. So again, about 100 million years old. There's at least 2 or 3 species of crocodiles that lived here. So there's this one really cute one that has really tiny teeth that probably would not show up on the camera at all, called Bernasartia, which fully grown would have been about 18 inches long, about the size of an iguana. Probably would have been a cute, adorable little crocodile, but probably still would try to bite you.
How do you know those teeth are crocodile?
How do we know these teeth are crocodile? That's a good question, Becky. So the shape, so they're kind of in a cone. I don't know if it shows up well on the camera or not, but there's these lines that run the length of the tooth. And crocodiles are really the only main type of animals that have those grooves that run the entire length of the tooth. That's how we know they're crocodile. And then we have our crocodile skin bones, which we were just talking about. So we have crocodiles, lots of turtles. Turtles are actually the most common types of animals that we have from the Cretaceous of southern Nevada. We have at least 3 different species. So modern turtles, I love turtles. I grew up with turtles, kind of rip us off. So turtles historically actually had all sorts of crazy ornamentation on their shells, so bumps and spines and all sorts of really fun stuff. So we can identify turtles based on just a couple chunks of their shells. So we know that we have at least 3 different types of turtles here from the Cretaceous of southern Nevada. But everyone's more interested in maybe the dinosaurs. And so the dinosaurs we have at least, I think, 8 different types of dinosaur now, is that right? So we have our little plant eaters like Nevada dromies, which we've talked about before. We have our duck-billed dinosaurs, which Becky's currently working on. So this is a backbone from a duck-billed dinosaur that Becky cleaned up. This is the sandstone that she has to clean them out of. So the really hard stuff, each one of those little white lines where she draws it's like a dentist drill, draws it across the rock, popping off the sand grain by grain. And you can see this is a section of the tail. And then this is one that's completely cleaned out. So this is probably going to be a new species of dinosaur. But again, it's about a 20-foot long duck-billed dinosaur. If you guys don't know what a duck-billed dinosaur is, this is an image of what they look like. So we affectionately call them the cows of the Cretaceous. So great big herds of these animals moving across the landscape. Again, 100 million years ago here in southern Nevada. Another piece of our duck-billed dinosaur. Duckbills actually had the most complex teeth in the history of the history of animals on land anyways. So they had these dental batteries. And so these are teeth in a row. So dinosaurs, unlike mammals, constantly were growing teeth. And so duck-billed dinosaurs had at least 3 to 5 teeth at any tooth position as they were making their way across the landscape. And as the tooth wore out, like this one, they were just shed out of the mouth. So some other dinosaurs that were found here in southern Nevada. We also have armored dinosaurs again. We have sauropod dinosaurs, so the ones with the long neck, long tails. We don't really have any really nice bones of them. The biggest animals ever walked the planet had these really simple little pig-like teeth. So they would pluck the vegetation off, and we think they used gizzards. So just like a chicken. So they pluck the vegetation off the plants, and then they just grind it up in their guts and their gizzards. So then the meat eaters, this is a backbone to an Allosaur-like dinosaur. So these are the biggest meat eaters we have from the entire state of Nevada. This animal probably, again, about 20, 25 feet long. There's some dinosaurs that have similar backbones and are of similar age from Utah. In particular, the Allosaur genus Seats, which was found in the Cedar Mountain Formation of southeast Utah. So probably something related to that. So this is a period of time where Allosaurs are still around. Tyrannosaurs are here, but they're not nearly as big. We do have ancestors of Tyrannosaurs here in southern Nevada, but they're about raptor size. And they were actually competing with raptors. We have raptors here as well. We have raptor bones, teeth, and eggshell. So they lived here as well. And what were they eating? So what was living along the banks of the rivers here in southern Nevada 100 million years ago? This is a trunk to a tree fern. So if you look real close, you can see all these little wiggly lines. That's where all the tissue of the tree fern was intertwined and kind of braiding itself together. So this is a special type of tree fern that's only found during this period of time in North America called Timskaya. So tree ferns. I don't know how well this is going to show up, but these lines here, these are horsetail reeds. If you go to a nursery, they sell these as ornamentals. They're kind of green segmented sticks that live along waterways. And then here, it's not very well preserved, but that's a leaf of a magnolia. So magnolias do not grow in southern Nevada wild today, but 100 million years ago, the conditions were just right. It was warm enough, it was moist enough that magnolias grew along the banks of the rivers here in southern Nevada. On this one, this is a frond of a cycad. Here in the US, if you go to a nursery, they sell these, they're called sago palms. But they're not actually palm trees. They're actually more closely related to pine trees. They have little cones in the middle that are poisonous to dogs. But these were really abundant during the Mesozoic, or the age of dinosaurs. So this type of rock I'm holding is actually a volcanic ash. So a volcano erupted somewhere in southern California 100 million years ago, dumped on this pond here in southern Nevada, and preserved all of these plants that were growing along the banks of the pond, along the banks of the river. I neglected to mention the biggest bone in front of me. So this bone here was found by Becky right before COVID outbroke in Valley Fire. And it was our mystery bone. So 100 million years old. Some experts thought maybe it was a hand bone or a foot bone of a dinosaur. But we were actually researching another dinosaur bone, the one from up near Eureka I was talking about earlier. And it turns out this is a hip bone to a meat-eating dinosaur, probably from something related to our big Allosaur. So this is a project that we're still working on now, and stay tuned, because every time we're out there, we find something new. And so this one little hip bone might tell us that a different type of dinosaur was running around southern Nevada as well. One of the interesting parts about the work we do is that so few people have worked on rocks of this age from the state of Nevada that essentially everything we work on is new to science. Sometimes it can be overwhelming, but other times it's really rewarding, because every time we're out there, again, we do find something new. And then our final story from the Cretaceous of Nevada comes from the very end of the Cretaceous. So in White Pine County, which is in the northeast corner of the state of Nevada, we have rocks from the very end of the Cretaceous. They range from about 70 million years old to 50 million years old. So it spans that boundary where the meteor hit Mexico. And maybe that you've read about that in the news recently. They found a site in North Dakota where maybe that's the death scene from that meteor impact. Time will tell. I haven't read the papers on that yet. But here in Nevada, we have a record of that boundary between the Cretaceous, the age of dinosaurs, where that ends, and where the age of mammals or the Cenozoic begins. And so we have frog species called Eorabetta nevadensis, which is the oldest frog that we have from the entire state of Nevada. It's found below that horizon and above that horizon. So whatever horrible thing happened in Mexico, whatever horrible thing killed all the dinosaurs in North Dakota, didn't affect these frogs in Nevada one bit. So also alongside those frogs, there's no pterosaurs, there's no bats, there's no anything else but bugs. And this, I don't know if it will show up very well. If any bug aficionados are out there, these are 65 million year old cases of caddisfly larvae who live in streams today. And so the caddisflies, they lay their eggs, and the larvae, when they hatch, they make these little cases out of whatever they can find. So these were probably frog food. So these frogs that were living in the mountains of Nevada when the rest of the world was experiencing a mass extinction. So that's the quick and dirty of the Cretaceous of Nevada. So we have rocks spanning from 120 million years old to 65 million years old. There's slivers here or there, and me and Becky are working really hard to figure out more and more of this story. So hopefully in a future Fossil Friday feature, we can talk more about our new finds. But with that, I'll open it up to questions if you have any for me and Becky.
You. Some of them have been messaged, some of them have been emailed. Thank you guys all for your awesome questions. Keep them coming, and we'll try and get through as many of them as we can. We have some of our students here in America wanted to know, how long have you been looking for fossils in your career?
So I've been looking for fossils for over 20 years. In the Cretaceous in particular, about 18 years. So it's been over half my life I've been looking for fossils across this state.
That's a while. So we have Mev, who is in Italy, and Mev, you had an awesome question. Feel free to unmute to ask.
Hi, hello, nice to meet you. I would like to know, what is the most interesting prehistoric stories fossil you have in Nevada that you think every person in the world should know?
The most interesting prehistoric story about dinosaurs in Nevada, I think everybody should know. I think it's really cool, and everybody's going to hate this answer, how many turtles we had. Because I love turtles, and so just to think that turtles were so... Today in Nevada, we only have one species of wild turtle, and that's it's the Mojave desert tortoise, Mojave desert tortoise, which is just here in the southern part of the state. But the thing that, during 100 million years ago, we had at least 3 different species of turtles, and you could go to any pond, you could go to any stream, and there'd be several different types of turtles staring at you. Turtles always give you a suspicious look before they jump into the water, but I think that's a really cool story.
Gotta love the turtles. So we have we'll just rapid fire some of these questions. So some of the kids would like to know, what is the oldest fossil that you guys have ever found?
So the oldest fossils I've ever found come from about rocks that are about 750 million years old. And they're found in Esmeralda County, Nevada. And they are, if you've ever slipped on a slippery rock on the edge of a pond or on the edge of a lake or a reservoir, that slime is photosynthetic bacteria colonies. And so these are fossils of those. And so it's fossilized pond scum, essentially. So those are about 750 million years old from Esmeralda County.
Pretty old and pretty gross at the same time, and pretty interesting. We just got one of the kids wanted to know, what's the biggest fossil that you guys have ever found?
The biggest fossil that we have ever found is this thing. It's still in the ground. So this animal, whatever it is, we've excavated about 10 feet by 10 feet or 3 meters by 3 meters, and this thing is still going. So whatever this animal is, it's big. That's another one of these things where we're going to have to stay tuned. I know that's not a satisfying answer, but we have a great big dinosaur in the ground that we're still digging sideways, and it's still going.
That's intense. And I know you guys can't share where it's at, but what county is that one in?
Eureka County.
Okay, so it's north of us in
Yes.
southern Nevada. So one of the kids would like to know, would fossils over time break apart and change shape if people are walking on them or hiking on them repeatedly unknowingly?
That's a good question. And so typically fossils as old as dinosaurs are not going to be usually affected by people walking around. There are track fossils, so where dinosaurs stepped in the sand about 180 million years ago near trails here in southern Nevada. And you can imagine if you're walking on those are going to break down. So it's important if you know fossils are around, be wary of that, try to stay away from them. Here in Southern Nevada, we also have the Ice Age Fossil State Park and Tilly Springs Fossil Beds National Monument, where Ice Age fossils are on the ground, and those are super delicate. And so if you did step on a fossil like that, they would break. So it's important if you know that you're in an area with fossils, be mindful, talk to the local land managers, and definitely enjoy the fossils, enjoy the landscape, enjoy your hike. But if you know there's a resource out there, be mindful where you put your foot.
And the Tule Springs, you guys have taken us there before on a virtual field. So if you guys are interested in that, be sure to check it out in the past recordings. So we have a few more questions, then we'll let you guys go. They would like to know, what was your most recent find?
Our most recent find, just because of COVID and everything else, was actually this bone I showed you guys that Becky helped dig up. Or Becky found it and dug it up, right? So this thing, and she also cleaned it up and put it back together. So this big hip bone of a meat-eating dinosaur that we're still trying to figure out. Do you want to chime in? Okay.
That is a massive, massive bone though. It looks big. So sorry to interject. One of the kids wants to know, what kind of fossils do you guys collect? Any particular fossils in general, or is it just kitchen sink, like whatever is found, you guys collect it?
The theme behind the research we do at the Nevada Science Center, and I should mention all of the collecting we do is under permit from either the Bureau of Land Management or Nevada Division of State Parks. So if you want to be a professional paleontologist, you have to get permission to collect fossils. But the one theme behind all the research we do is that these fossils come from Nevada. We're trying to tell the story of our state. So we do have fossils that range anywhere from 500 million years old to about 10,000 years old, but they all come from here because we're trying to tell this story.
Yeah, and side note, if a teacher out there, because I know we have quite a few teachers that watch the recording in Nevada and some are on here right now, where could they go if they were interested in having a field trip at the Nevada Science Center?
Go to our website, info@nvscicenter.org, and send us your info, what you're interested in. We can either come to you, or if you're interested to come here, we'll talk about it. So hit us up on our website, send us an email, and we're happy to have that chat.
And we'll have that in the recording. So the final question, one of the kids would like to know, where is your favorite place to search for fossils? I guess this question will go for both you guys, unless you guys have the same favorite place.
Oh, my favorite place to hunt for fossils is actually our Miocene mammal site in far western Nevada, which is below our state's highest point. There's fossils everywhere, and they're all amazing, and they're all brand new to science. And one of the really nice things is that there's a really nice hot spring that you get to go soak in after you've been hiking all day long, and it's a really special place, at least personally, to go look for fossils.
And then for me, I agree that place is very good. But I will have to say our place in Eureka. So it's outside of a historic mining town. So there's a lot of history there. It's really cool buildings. It's very small. And our sites are, outside of the city in the hills. And it's really pretty. We've been going there for years to, look for dinosaurs. But I'll say that's my favorite. And we also got married at our campsite out in Eureka. So I'll say that's more special.
And congratulations on being married. That's our paleontology couple right there. So Becky and Josh, if before we let you guys go, can you guys tell us of any upcoming events that we can expect on the Science Center website?
Right. So right now we're kind of transitioning from, the regular school year here in Clark County. We get out of school in 1 month. So we're still doing, some virtual field trips, trying to get a couple more in before the end of the school year. And then we're going to be transitioning to more, in person, where you can come and visit the Science Center if you're local. So come on down, we'll be open. We're still open right now, but everyone's in school. So I'm hoping, just like spring break, that people come visit us and can see these fossils in person. But yes, everything will be on our website. And like Josh said, we try to update social media too, for all those people who like to do either internet searches or social media.
That's wonderful. So thank you guys so much. I'll go ahead and before I end the meeting for all, I will unmute you guys and we'll have a recording of this. It should be processed. Give me about 2 hours. So I hope everyone has a good day. Everyone is happy, healthy, and safe. And can we all say thank you to Josh and Becky for connecting with us today on this awesome event? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.